So off in the distance you can see the cliffs, and you can see the way the light is playing across the different rocks. Over in the distance there are some white rocks, and then as we come nearer, the red sandstone, which is characteristic of this part of the Devon coast. And if you look at the colour of the sea, this is the English Channel, then the sea, which is normally blue, green here, is a mix of amazing colours: purples, reds, oranges, brown, green, blue. And this is due to rockfalls from those red cliffs getting broken up by the water, getting churned up and mixing up this crazy muddy palette of different colours. Pretty good subject for a painting, I think. Alright, so we're back at the studio now. So I'm going to begin outlining this landscape painting or seascape painting using a watercolour paint marker. So there are the beginnings of the nearest cliff face, and then we have this sort of second block-like formation after that, and then the cliffs kind of peter out off into the distance. And then we need a horizon line going across here somewhere. So I've deliberately placed the cliffs and the horizon quite high up on the page. But before I go any further, I just need to check my proportions. So let's have a look. So the height of this cliff should be about the same as its width, and it is. So that's good. And then that same height again should take me to about the middle of these cliffs. So the proportions are looking fairly reasonable, so that's okay. And then I need to come down about the same amount again, so around about there. So somewhere around here. And the waterline kind of sweeps round, does something like that. Then there's a spit of dry sand, or drier sand, here. The sand is rather wet in this region. There's a nice reflection here. And then the water over here is kind of lapping in at an angle. The water up here is also coming in waves and ripples. So quite quickly we've been able to just plot out the composition of our painting. The first stage of blocking in for this painting is going to be to block in the sky, and to do that I'm using the interactive acrylics. I've just sprayed the surface of the painting with water. Now you can see the watercolour marker is running, but I don't mind about that. That's not going to be a problem. And what I'm doing is just dragging with a fairly big brush a pale blue across the sky. So I've mixed this up with Silurian blue and titanium white. A little touch of burnt umber just to knock the colour back a bit, make it not too vibrant. And although the watercolour running isn't a problem, I will just pick up most of these big dribbles that I've got. There are probably going to be some more in a minute, but I really don't mind at all. One of the reasons I use the watercolour marker is I know that I can obliterate or move around those marks very easily. So it's nothing is too set in stone at these early stages. Next, using the same brush and a slightly darker version of the same blue, just going to drag my brush across this area of wet sand that's picking up the reflection from the sky. a little darker again for these foreground areas of water. And that's perhaps not dark enough, actually. But while I've got this colour on the brush, I will apply it to these regions. And the great thing about the interactive acrylics is you can really mobilise the paint with a quick spray of the water bottle, so it makes it very flexible medium to use. But I will just darken up that foreground bit with a touch of the near pure Silurian blue. And then for this next region of water, which needs to be much darker and more purple, I'm going to start with a layer of cobalt blue. Well, in fact, I couldn't find the cobalt blue quickly, so I've decided to go with French ultramarine. And I mixed that in with a little bit of this blue, and that's got us somewhere close. So still using the same brush, once again painting onto the wet surface of the paper. Some sweeping horizontal brush strokes to block in this deeper area of water. And that same area of water has quite a purple tinge in parts. So using a smaller brush now, this one's about 1 inch wide, it's a flat brush again. Added some magenta to that same mix of blue I had. And what I did there was I kept the brush at that angle, and as I moved it from right to left, I gradually rotated it, just to change the thickness of the brush stroke a bit. And I'm going to continue with that same colour, having just sprayed these areas with some water in the foreground. And that's going to mix in with the lighter blue. And allow me to just very loosely indicate the pooling of water that's happening in the shallows here. Now this bit's come out a little bit dark, so let's just blend that in with the lighter colour.